So, it had been a while since my last acid trip, and I wanted to give it another go. All my other trips before this were in very crowded and overwhelming settings, but this time I was gonna do it alone in my house, so this had the chance of being my best experience so far. The day of, I woke up, and it was pretty early compared to when I'd normally wake up. And I started tweaking, thinking I wouldn't be rested enough for the trip, and I ended up forcing myself to fall back asleep with melatonin, and then that caused me to oversleep instead. And after I woke up, I was freaking out. I was having like a panic attack until I calmed down and I realized that if I just stopped overreacting, overthinking everything, I'd have a much better trip. So that was a pretty shitty morning right before my trip, but I tried to move on and I just hung out, just chilled for the rest of the day until it was nighttime. Once it was, I took the tab and laid in bed, and after a while, I started to feel it and I started getting some visuals. Everything got kind of wavy, and I saw a rainbow cowboy head on my wall, probably because I was playing Red Dead Redemption 2 earlier that day, and everything kept getting more and more intense as time passed. It felt amazing, and eventually I started having some of the craziest visuals I've ever had from acid. The entire room was warping and changing colors, and my blinds and window seal were like doing this weird thing I can't describe properly, but it was too strong for me to really do anything but lay in bed and just kind of watch everything, so that's what I did for a while. Eventually, it did calm down though, and I got on my computer and my friend screen shared the anime ReZero to me, Discord. And the only other time I've watched ReZero before, I was also on acid. It was actually during the Doug's Gross House trip report, and I have to say, it's such a good anime to watch while tripping with how colorful it is and all the trippy time resets and stuff. But we watched it for a while, but in the middle of watching it, I randomly decided that I wanted to have coffee. And this was already a bad idea because acid always makes me like sick and caffeine always makes it worse. But but on top of that, for some fucking reason, I decided to drink 2 cups of black coffee back to back. So I drank my 2 cups of black coffee, and I watched the anime a little while longer. Getting kind of late, so I got off with my friend and got back in bed, and pretty quickly after that is when I noticed horrible pain in my asshole, like someone poured sulfuric acid down there. I know it's kind of gross, but that's the only way to explain it. But the coffee coming back to bite me, and it hurt so badly that I just laid in bed trying to ignore the pain until morning without sleeping. And by the time by the time it was morning, the pain had only gotten worse. And on top of that, I kept getting this really weird and annoying auditory hallucination, and I'll play I'll play my replication of that.
A chocolate splunge. A chocolate splunge. A chocolate splunge.
So yeah, I'd hear that over and over in my head, and I'd also get compulsions to like say it myself out loud, and it was really funny looking back on it, but at the time it was so infuriating because I felt like shit, and the novelty of like tripping really wore off, and I just wanted to be sober again, and I had to listen to that shit in my ears over and over. But eventually I stopped getting that hallucination, but the pain in my asshole didn't go away for the whole day, and I just rested until it was like night, and my mom tried to get me to do my chemistry homework, and I stared at it for like 30 minutes, and I just pretended that I finished it and went to bed. And the next day I woke up, I didn't have any pain anymore, and I was sober, I was feeling better, and I went to school that day and I didn't have any issues. So, sadly, this trip didn't turn out the way I was really hoping. The beginning with the visuals and everything was really cool, and watching the anime with my friend was kind of fun, but drinking that coffee kind of ruined everything else after that. It was just uncomfortable. Like severe anal burning while coming down on acid is something I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And I thought this trip was going to be better since it was going to be my first time alone in the comfort of my home, and that's how I enjoyed my DXM trips and everything. But it ended up getting ruined by other factors, and I guess just I was cursed to have bad acid trips during this time of my life. But thank you thank you for listening to this story. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a pretty short story and I took a really long time to upload, but thank you guys for being fans of me and bearing with me. I'll see you guys next time.